Herzlich willkommen bei wieder ein uCon on the road. Diese Episode sind wir nicht in Europa. Wir waren schon mal in Holland, ein paar Mal in Deutschland, aber jetzt hüpfen wir drüber nach Kanada, wo unser Hauptsitz ist. Und Adam und ich befinden uns in das Toronto am Night. Und Urvashi, in ihrer Zeitzone ist das morgen. Und von daher das tägliche Bild. Urvashi, kannst du dich bitte kurz vorstellen? Or I should say, Urvashi, could you please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Ed. Servus, namaste, and hi. Thanks for inviting me today. I'm a marketing demand manager here at Unitron Headquarters in Canada. And I take care of all the data analysis for across GCs and with the products that we have, the services that we have, what's working, what's not. Even before we launch a product, we do an in-depth market study. And after a product is launched, we try to track how successful it has been. So that's where my job comes into picture, looking at all the insightful data and trying to generate actionable recommendations for GCs as well as the headquarters.
Wow, sounds amazing. You have like really a global perspective on all those things. Last episode, I were in close to Mannheim in Seckenheim by an HCP. It was really nice episode. And I immediately felt what our experience innovation does to his business, how he starts counseling, how he talks, how he walks, how he takes decisions. And he's the one who using those tools. But we are the ones who developing those tools. So how did this become like a really innovative experience? How all the things started?
I'll tell you first what my assumption has been, my take, that with so many brands in the market, with all the devices that have all the features in today, I think it's very safe to assume that the decision-making on part of HCPs and the patients, that's very hard. Like, how do you choose one device that's better over the others when all devices have so many features to offer? How do you know what you need? Yeah. In such a market, I think it's only services that could give you an edge. And I'm not talking about any services or any after-sales services, but ones that actually and practically make the whole experience better for both HCPs and their patients. So we did, I'm sure the way it started, even long before I actually started doing this, we had a well-researched set of ideas on where are the concern areas, because that's where you start. You identify that there is a problem, there's a need gap, there's a gap between when the patient thinks that they need a device and when they actually get used to using it, they actually like using it, they actually feel it's a part of it, like it's a part of what they have to do in routine. To actually make the whole experience better for the patients, we did have some ideas on what features we can bring. And then we started with Flex program, but continuous learning through data, that helped us improve and stay relevant. For instance, these tools are not exactly how they look right now. They have improved over time. We have managed to take care of the concern areas. And the way we have done it is through data. We kept on getting voice of the consumer. We kept on getting feedback from the HCPs, and that made that whole set into a gold mine of data where we knew exactly that this is what the patients and the HCPs need. And I think now we are way more confident than we were in the past in this journey that, you know, we know the concern areas so that we can keep working on it. We can keep like making it better. So I think it's continuous learning and improvement. Right. Or Kaizen. I think that's the term for it, Kaizen.
Yeah, right. You spoke about concerns and data, and in my mind, there pops something out, because are the HCPs and all the customers not afraid to share so much data? I mean, big data is always this big thing, and everybody talks about it, but you can clearly see here in our example that it started to change behavior of fitting and matching those needs with those tools we provide.
I mean, while it's an interesting topic and we keep discussing it on and off because we are in that business. But I find it worthwhile to mention that data is only used at an aggregate level. We're not getting into any personal details. We're just looking at excluding any kind of personal details. We just look at an aggregate level because the purpose is just to understand how we can help make the experience better. It's interesting, although it's interesting on one hand, we read about, in general, everyone getting cautious of data sharing. But if you look at our insights activations, for instance, by patients, they have doubled over previous year. And that is across almost all countries. So sometimes I just fail to understand these two ideologies. On one hand, we hear there's this people being cautious, and then our data showing something absolutely else.
Crazy. Times are changing, and data is important, more than you think. So if you look on a more from a bigger perspective on the whole, I think it's close to 10 years, right, Ed? We have like Flex trials and LogItAll close to 10 years.
Our in the past, it was called Flex. Of course, now it's called Experience Innovations because it's become much broader as in the early days. But yeah, it's probably approximately around now for 10 years. Yeah.
So if you look from a more holistic point of view and you see those, the whole development of this innovations, did you find some interesting learnings you want to share with us?
So with all there are quite a few to start with from the usage data, because we collect the data that how the patients are using our features or how the HCPs are using it. For instance, the rating features, a simple like a smiley face or a sad face, that gives us so much insight about people are happy or no.
And it's handy, and it's pretty handy. You can just do it right away.
And what's best is the HCPs know that the patients are happy or no. I think more than us, of course, we want to know if our patients are happy, but the HCPs want to know if they fitted the device right, if the patients are using it in the manner they wanted to. A simple sad face, even if they don't give us any more feedback, although they do, even if they don't give that, a simple sad face is just a caution light for us that, something is not right if we are getting a lot of those. So that's so insightful. But another interesting thing that I've learned during my tenure about how to use and apply that data is that while our developers had a pretty good insight into how these features will be used, our HCPs have taken it a level up in there's so many diverse use cases in the way that they use these features. For instance, I have a really funny and rather interesting story around this. So
let me hear you. Let's go.
Yeah, so, in the US, it's quite funny when I heard it, and it was very insightful for me and even the developers in the US. An HCP once told us that they fitted our device to one of his patients who would keep coming back complaining that she still cannot hear properly. Like sometimes she has issues hearing. She was somehow not able to describe what and when exactly she faces issues because language was a barrier between the patient and the HCP. She would just say, sometimes I hear fine, but other times I don't. But what do I not hear properly in what environment? She cannot tell that. So we have this amazing tool called LogItAll, as you might know, and it captures patient data around usage, which means like how long did you spend in various environments? Maybe in conversation, you were in loud noise or you were listening to music. So the HCP, so that was really good on part of HCP. It occurred to him that let's check her LogItAll data. What does that say? And interestingly, it indicated that she spent significant time. If I'm not wrong, it was 90% of time she was spending listening to music. Now,
wow.
That doesn't happen usually. Right?
On.
You might have.
There's something in.
LogItAll. Right?
Okay.
So, even I go through LogItAll data all the time. I do not see that. There has been a fair bit of representation across environments. So yes, so moving on. He asked if she's part of a choir or if she goes to a concert or any other music group. But she refused. She was an old lady spending most of the time with her kids and grandkids at home. So during this time, interestingly, so her son was accompanying her. So during this time, she kept on talking to her son back and forth in her native language. So the HCP suddenly noticed that when she was talking in her native language, that language had a very strong musical tone to it due to the accent. So it just occurred to him.
The harmonics is what? Oh, come on.
So he programmed the device to be fit for listening to music. He just gave it a try. And can you believe he later heard back that suddenly the device works amazing? It actually worked. So, imagine if you look at this scenario, she would have faced this issue with any device, any tech level, or any brand she would have gone with. But it was that extra feature of LogItAll that helped identify then why is it that a fitted device is not helping her hear properly.
Wow. So the extra harmonics in the language caused the classification to see music, which was a quiet conversation, and then the whole counseling was misunderstood because she was saying she's in quiet and LogItAll showed 90% music. But that's crazy. But that's very insightful.
It's more common than you think. It's more common because I tried a device once. When I joined, I was curious to try a device. And even my native language has some musical tone to it. I think it's fairly common in some Asian languages that we have some musical tone. So I am not an avid music listener, but my LogItAll data definitely had more listening to music than I think I spent time listening to music. So it's more common than we think.
That's the right cue, because Ed, you have there a really nice story, because what we think in the data shows and what it actually does.
No, absolutely. This is funny because we also know, and all HCPs know, that it's an extremely difficult question. And still, we ask it every day. We ask all the end users, how does your daily life acoustically look like? And we want to, have some proof to that it's actually a difficult question. So a couple of years ago, we handed out approximately 300 trial devices at the UHA, that's the German trade show. And we asked all these professionals, because it were all HCPs, we asked them, could you predict how today is going to look like acoustically? So they all filled out a form, and at the end of the day, they brought back their instruments. And we checked those instruments, of course, and we checked the form. And you know how much had it right? One. From all these professionals, one had the right outcome. All others were off. So that clearly shows how extremely difficult it is to predict or even having somehow an imagination of how acoustically is your life looking. And I tried it myself, and I was off as well. I thought that I could, somehow interpret it. Okay, the day should probably look like that, and it didn't. Some conversation in small groups appeared much more than I anticipated. There was way less noise in speech, and there was much more noise alone, and all those things. I was off in my assumption. And still, we ask this question to our end users every day.
Every day, exactly.
As far as my mathematical game goes, it's not even 0.3%.
No, it's not much.
No, it isn't. And actually it shows that what you earlier said, Urvashi, is that there is a lot of guesswork involved right now. We try to do our best, but we still do a lot of based on assumptions and guesses. And I think these tools, which are with our Experience Innovations, are offering us the possibility to have a much better fitting. And in the example you gave with the woman who was 90% in music, the HCP would have never known and keep adjusting the wrong program.
Yeah. And it's like it more matters on what the device perceives the environment to be. If the device is catching noise, you might not realize. And the device won't work fine if it's not tuned or fitted for working in noise.
Yeah.
So we absolutely cannot do away with data in that case.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, data is a big topic, and looking a little bit more into the future. And can you tell us something about trends of tomorrow, or what's the new big thing?
As of today, the way I'm reading trends, it's very promising because the tools that are there in the market, the usage data says that I think they're relevant and useful. That's the feedback that we get from the HCPs. And if we manage to continue to stay that way, we manage to stay relevant in the market, that would be a very good fairy tale story to say, because the market is changing dynamically. It's easier said than done, that in such a dynamically changing, fast-paced market, it's so hard to stay relevant. How do you predict what future is going to bring? For instance, we didn't know the pandemic is coming and what the pandemic will bring as trends. For instance, as far as I remember, our remote adjust uses suddenly spiked because no one could travel to there. What if we did not have, I seriously think about it sometimes, what if we did not have remote adjust? And we did not predict at that time when we were developing this tool. And even now, we keep thinking about the future and what the future might bring. For instance, the HCPs want to save time on every fitting. The HCPs want to make the process more smoother and more fast. And they do not want to use the tools in the way you tell them to. They want to customize the way they want to use the tools, the times they want to use it. They want to use it from anywhere they are. They want to use it at any time. And even the patients, they want to be able to adopt those solutions quickly. So if it's hard, if it's not easy to use, then it's hard to stay relevant. So I would just sum it up in one way. If we can manage to stay relevant by taking all these measures, then I think we're gold. We're done.
Perfect. Awesome. So that's a nice word for the end. And I think at the end, we have just one more thing, because we have our backpack always with us. This is the digital way, and I heard you send something off. So what do you put in our uCon on the road backpack?
It was quite thoughtful, but I did send some maple syrup, a good one for you guys. It's a good souvenir that people like to take from Canada. I hope you like it.
Perfect. So when it arrives, I make just a quick quality check, and then I just provide it.
No. Let your hands off it, Adam. You should have sent two.
So I didn't predict the demand so well.
Thank you very much, Urvashi, for your time. Thank you very much for all of those insights. And to everybody, stay healthy, stay well, and we will see us back in the next episode. Macht's gut. Bis bald. Schöne Zeit. Dankeschön. Bye bye. Take care.